Well, hey, hello, and how are you, everybody, from inside the Bills training facility? I'm Dom Tibbetts. That's 7 Sports Director Matt Beauvais. We have done it, Matt. I feel like the last few times we've done this, it's been training camp at St. John Fisher, or OTAs prior, then it's been training camp back here, but now we have an actual opponent in a real regular season game, Bills versus Ravens on Sunday Night Football. It almost feels like Christmas. Like, I'm a little giddy walking in the facility today. Took a big gust, and I said, football is back, baby.
Regular season week. It gets the juices flowing a little bit. There's extra excitement in the air. It's
sure.
Absolutely perfect weather outside. Yeah, this is fun. The team is getting ready. They know that this is an absolutely massive matchup. They're trying to downplay it, but you know that they're extra mode.
I'd be more surprised if they didn't downplay it at this point, right?
To the Ravens' credit, a couple of the Ravens players have said, this is not just another game. That's the team that sent us home. We want to leave that stadium with a win.
For sure.
I think human nature, that makes a ton of sense. That is exactly how you should feel if you're the Ravens. For the Bills, they're saying, hey, there's the juices flowing. It's a big game. It's Josh against Lamar.
Right.
We realize the stage. We want to start the season with a win. But they see it. They see the people who say, well, Josh got a pity MVP, or the team isn't that good, or that the Ravens beat themselves last year. Like, they should want to go out and make a statement too. And I'm sure they do. They're just not publicly saying that.
Yeah, however they view or want to use that motivation, like that's to their own progression or discretion, I should say. But
progression, to their own progression.
To their own
Josh
discretion.
Allen working through his discretions and progressions at the same time.
But no, I mean, like, you have to have that sense of motivation, too, that's just as equal to the Ravens, because they know how hungry this team is. I think the Bills, they're not going to acknowledge that to us. I mean, I actually did talk to Taylor Rapp after practice today. He's been in the league long enough, so I simply just asked Taylor, like, you've been doing this long enough, like, a team like the Ravens, who lost in such heartbreaking fashion a few months ago back here, the end of their season, like, what do you expect from that? And he was not mincing his words. He said, yeah, that team's going to come in super motivated, as is all other 30 other NFL teams, the usual stuff. But no, this game means a lot to the Baltimore Ravens. This game means a lot to the Buffalo Bills, because this is a very good team and a way to start off the season. And what has been, I mean, quite frankly, a rocky opener for Sean McDermott here. It's kind of been back and forth, like in the Rams game, I think a few years ago,
they were great.
A masterclass. And then like the Arizona game last year was really shaky until Josh Allen hurdled the man for a touchdown, and that kind of changed the pace there too.
They've been actually pretty average in season openers, especially these last couple of years. You know, Jay Skursky from the Buffalo News was asking some questions about it. So the last 4 home openers, they are 2-2, and one of them was the debacle we saw in New York a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
the game when Rodgers got hurt 4 plays in, and they still lost
to Zach Wilson.
Which is crazy. And then the one 4 years ago was the Steelers game at home. After that, you know, that team had such big expectations. They came home and they laid an egg in that game. So they're 2-2. Obviously, this opponent is tougher than any of the opponents they have played in any of those other season openers. But the one thing that I will say, going back to the kind of more big picture stuff we were talking about, the Ravens have more on the line in this game. Like, I think so. Because if you're the Bills and you lose this game and it's close, you would go, okay, well, we beat them in the playoffs, and that's what we're most focused on. Right. It's almost like the anti-Bills Chiefs conversation.
That's right where my mind was,
It's certainly not to that point, because they've only beaten the Ravens twice in the playoffs, but it's halfway there, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I do think that there's more at stake here for the Ravens. I think that's the team that's probably just really pissed off with how their season ended last year. And if the Bills can get a win, I think that's a big statement that, like, hey, you know, we're going to beat you in the playoffs, and, oh, by the way, we can beat you in the regular season too.
Now, the injury going into this, like the injury news on both fronts, and I remember in the Ravens game in the playoffs, like, we talked so much about Zay Flowers not being there. Like, what an integral part of that offense for the Ravens that wasn't there. Well, he's back. Rashad Bateman's back. You have Lamar with probably something to prove to. You have Derrick Henry. Defensively, I think if you had to, like, pick an area of concern where you are right now with the Bills, it's going to come on the defensive side of the football, and it's probably coming in who's going to play cornerback too if Trey White can't go opposite of Christian Benford.
Oh, it's the secondary for sure, because you don't feel super comfortable with the safety position either. I feel like, okay, you know what Taylor Rapp is, and you know what Christian Benford is. Taylor Rapp's a good player. Christian Benford is a great player. But what about those other 2 positions? Well, Cole Bishop, we all have questions about, or I should say a lot of us have questions about. I don't want to generalize. And then whoever cornerback 2 is, opposite, even if it is Trey White, I have questions about Trey White too, and what he's going to look like. So there's the questions with him, and then if he's unavailable, then it's the questions with players like Dorian Strong or Jamarcus Ingram. At this point, I would expect that it's Dorian Strong. It's just kind of a feeling that I've had for the last couple weeks. I'm not wavering off that now. It goes to the point we talked about with the defensive linemen a little bit ago, trial by fire. throw you in the deep end of the pool and see if you can swim. So, maybe there is something there. We shall see.
And what better team to, like, if you're Dorian Strong, you're a rookie cornerback, what better team just go lay it all out there? I think one of the analogies you used was like, go swim in the deep end, see if you stay afloat. Like, if you're Dorian Strong, just go at them. Go try to go against one of the best offenses and an offense that can beat you in multiple different ways. I also think a lot of that secondary concern, Matt, can be so alleviated by if Brandon Beane's offseason moves to bolster that defensive line can really just start to come through. Like, I'm going to be watching, I tweeted it earlier, I'm going to be watching the combination of Greg Rousseau and Joey Bosa on the defensive end. And then I think you kind of know what you're going to get with Ed and Daquan in a sense. Still going to be watching them. But behind them, the rookie combo of TJ Sanders and Deion Walker, very interested to see how they kind of get their first, feet wet in this NFL experience. Yeah. I think the Bills can alleviate a lot of those defensive concerns in the secondary if they can start winning that battle up front in the trenches.
I went back and watched some of the Ravens game from the playoffs last year, and on a couple of the touchdown throws that Lamar had, to his credit, bought time, spectacular. He had all day. Nobody was getting to him. Nobody. So for the defensive line, one of the ways to hide a secondary with some inadequacies is a defensive line that can get home.
Precisely.
The Bills haven't proved that they can do that yet. I think there's a lot of promise surrounding some of the younger players. I like how Deion Walker and TJ Sanders both talked about it. We talked to them a little bit ago before we recorded this, and they said, we like having this challenge in the beginning because it can do one of two things. One, if it goes really bad, we can say we have a ton to learn, and that's motivation.
Right.
If it goes really well, then we know, okay, we can do this against elite competition, but also not getting ahead of ourselves and letting our heads get too big, which I think is a very mature way of kind of viewing all of this. I have some questions. I want to see if they get into some third and long situations, if the Bills roll out Ed Oliver and TJ Sanders. I think they will. I like the potential of that. Of all of the defensive linemen they've added, I think easily the most impactful early on is going to be Joey Bosa. I think he might be even more impactful at times than Greg Rousseau.
For sure.
It's just
we've also gotten to see a lot of Joey Bosa,
too. It's just making sure that he is healthy. So that's another. The Bills' defensive line now, I think, is much better than the defensive line that they had in the playoffs a couple months ago. Like 6 months ago or whatever that is. So that's a good sign. But the questions at corner are very real.
For sure.
And the safety questions are also very real.
I mean, and if you're the Ravens offense, hey, if you can maybe force the Bills defensive line to once again not be prevalent, you're Lamar Jackson, you're probably looking big eyes, like I can go attack the secondary.
We talk about, and this is still very early in the week, we were recording this on Wednesday, so we don't exactly know what it's going to look like, but the reports out of Baltimore, though, no Isaiah Likely, and it's unlikely that he's going to play.
We are in mid-season
He just rolled his eyes. I didn't even plan to do that. Unlikely Isaiah Likely plays on Sunday. He was great in the game against the Bills. Had the almost tying catch before the Mark Andrews drop. And Patrick Ricard is not nothing. Patrick Ricard, their Pro Bowl All-Pro fullback, did not practice on Wednesday, and I believe hasn't practiced since August 14th was the day that I saw.
Respect to the fullback.
So with the way their offense operates, not having their fullback is something notable. I am not saying that your thoughts on the game should be swayed completely by a fullback being unavailable, but he has paved the way for Derrick Henry and given the Bills problems in the past. So there's injuries for the Bills to be dealing with, but the Ravens are also dealing with some stuff.
Yeah, and for sure. And I also think when you come to just talking about these teams, I think the thing with Josh Allen, he buys you so much grace and so much leniency on the offensive side of the ball. It feels like we don't talk about that side of the ball. In training camp, the biggest offensive storyline was the ascension of Keon Coleman,
and then
Dalton
Kincaid,
and then James Cook's contract situation. Exactly. So, I don't know, to you, what kind of sticks out about this offense? To me, I almost think there's nothing that jumps at you with this Bills offense, but I think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. The one thing I will say, though, Josh, in his career, has been pretty average against the Ravens. There have been little moments here and there, but even in the game last year in the playoffs.
Good first half.
Half, second half was pretty mundane. He didn't make the mistakes. Lamar made the mistakes, Josh didn't. That is valuable, and you need that. But in the regular season, Lamar is very dynamic. Is Josh able to go punch for punch with Lamar Jackson? Absolutely he is. They're two of the best players in the NFL. But he hasn't been unbelievable against this defense. So I do want to see if they can get into a bit of a rhythm, they can put up some points, because that's kind of the thing in my head. We're still early in the week. We still got a little bit of time here. in my head, I'm like, if you get to 30 points, I like your chances.
Yeah.
If you get to 30 points, you should win this game. If your defense can't stop them and keep them below 30 points, it says a lot about your defense.
Man,
right?
you would have hated to have said that the week prior to the AFC Championship game last year. Yeah.
I mean, I said the same thing going in the AFC Championship
no,
game.
for sure.
Go score 30 points. They scored 29. They
Right.
still lose. So, yeah, I feel like I have more confidence that the offense will be good and will be successful. All of that is tied, of course, to Josh Allen.
Right.
I have more questions about the defense. But with this game in particular, I feel like the offense tempering expectations is important because not only is it week 1, the Ravens defense is really, really good too.
Who do you think has to, even just not even week 1, but just this season, like on offense, who do you finally need to see take that next level?
Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid could unlock so much for this defense that they haven't been able to figure out with him in the first couple of years of his career.
Yeah.
Like, really. Keon Coleman is the one I'm more confident in that will take a bigger step.
Yes.
But I think Dalton Kincaid is the one who could really change some things for the Bills offense. So that would be the answer I would give. I think Keon will bring you more, like I said. I think Joshua Palmer will be a nice addition for this team. I feel like we know what you'll get from Khalil Shakir. We know what you'll get from James Cook. We know what you're going to get from Ty Johnson and from Ray Davis. But those are the guys who I've got some questions about and why I do think at times this offense could be even more dynamic than it was last year.
Khalil Shakir also practicing limited on Wednesday, but he's out there practicing, so
Very good
news for him. Same as it was for Christian Benford. Sunday Night Football, Ravens versus the Bills. Any final thoughts, Matt?
No. My final thoughts are I'm excited. I'm going to be thinking about this game a lot. I know Bills fans are thinking about it just as much.
Yep.
And, yeah.
So we'll be back Thursday. Back Friday.
He will be back Friday. My sister is getting married this weekend, so that's my final thought. Congratulations to my sister and to her fiance for getting married this weekend, picking home opener weekend to get married. Love that. But I will be able to get to the wedding, and then I will be able to get back in time for Sunday Night Football, so the schedule worked out perfectly.
Well, there it is. Congratulations to Matt's sister. You didn't say her name, so
Francesca and Mac. Congratulations to the two.
I didn't want to say congratulations, Fran. I didn't know if you were trying to keep your sister's identity sealed, but congratulations. He'll be at a wedding. I'll be back Friday. We'll see you guys all Sunday. Matt Beauvais, I'm Dom Tibbetts.